Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vaidya's Chess Hub. And we are live here in Mumbai. By the way, what had happened is there was erratic power supply because of the cyclone Nisarg. Maybe it was a precautionary measure. So we have power now, and the thing is, we can do this live. In case we lose power again, just join me as a spectator on my Leeches account. Okay, for now, welcome everybody. I'm very happy that you're here. This was the game that we were playing and our opponent simply resigned. Well, there are a few things we can learn from this game. Very important. What this game taught us is how patience is so important. Patience, so important. Our opponent here did not have the required patience at all. He was not willing to wait. That's why he just resigned. I'm allowed to think in my own time, but our opponent simply resigned here. So the game teaches us how important patience is by playing chess. If you look at the time control, just look at the time control. Here you can see that he has 15 minutes 58 seconds. Then why was he ready to play 15 plus 15 game, is it not? So clearly what that game has taught us is that you must be patient while playing chess. You must allow yourself to sink into the game and think properly. By the way, someone just type what was the thing about the opening. What was the name of this opening? Very important. Just tell me the opening. The name of the opening. What is the name of the opening that I played? Hello everybody. What is the name of the opening? That is what I want. Soumitra is saying England Gambit. Very important. Yes, that is right. England Gambit. That is it. So for d4 you can play e5. Now what will be interesting to study is how many points do we go down if we play a gambit like that. So let's go to Leeches and analyze it. Let's go back all the way and let's analyze this. So after d4, if I play e5, then it gives white an advantage of plus 1.4, and I played the move knight c6, which is correct. He played the move knight f3 and I played d6, and then he took the pawn. I took with the bishop, so taking the queen is also okay, and then knight to f6, the pawn. He says a6 is better. I castled and I played the bishop and I dropped the bishop back. So after this the game was equal. If you see 0.5, now it says 0.2. So it's okay to play the England Gambit, especially in a blitz games. So I want you to probably start doing it in your own games, is it not? Or better do that. Wonderful. Alright people, by the way, let me make it very clear that if in case there is power failure, again in case, then go back to the Leeches account, and if it is not 7, we are going to do this till 7. Let us play one more game very quickly. We are started now, we will play one more game. So let's go to Leeches and let's search a good opponent for us. This is 20 plus 10. Isn't that a little too much? 20 plus 10. This is 25 plus 0. This is 15 plus 10. Let's play this guy. So now we are playing 2000. But of course my rating has a question mark. So Our opponent seems to be one with the etiquettes. He's wished me hello, good luck. This is fine. I'm going to play the proper Nimzo Indian defense if he allows that. No, he's going for a simple knight f3. So now do I open up the game with a move like c5? Should I do that? No, let's stick to proper chess. So one pawn in the center, knights. I mean, this is looking like a symmetric structure. This is known as a symmetric structure. A symmetric structure. And well, now this move is knight bd2. Knight bd2. Yeah, knight bd2. And this blocks the bishop. I wonder what's the idea. As usual, I'll go for the diamond formation. Jay, if you remember the diamond formation, man. I will play the diamond formation, meaning f7, e6, d5, c6 and b7. So that is going to be my diamond formation, and let me complete that now by e6. So this is more like the Queen's Gambit decline. So d4, d5, c4, e6, but the only thing is I have my bishop on f5 and not locked behind a pawn on e6. Okay, looks interesting here. There is a question mark against my name because how many games have I played? I've played 50. Well, I've played 51 games. I wonder why there is still that question mark. I've played 51 games, so I'm not sure. 51 games. Now this guy seems to be, yes Jay, the pyramid formation. Now this guy seems to be patient. I repeat for those who are wondering the pyramid formation. Well, this is a pyramid formation. So now if I push the c6 pawn, it will give me a perfect pyramid, diamond, whatever you want to call, kind of structure. Okay, so I'm going to exactly do that. In some lines, when this bishop is on c8, there is a line where pawn takes on c4, and after bishop takes, you play b5 using the c6 pawn and go for a6, and then the bishop is fianchettoed. That's a typical idea, maybe in the King's Indian or something like that. Yes, Saumitra, you're right. So this is the structure. And our opponent definitely is someone who is patient. I like that. Now he's moved the same piece twice. So clearly that is not what you want. So I'm going to challenge his knight. The move is knight bd7. Because both the knights could have come on d7. So knight bd7 now. Both the knights could have come on d7. So knight bd7. The junior should make a note of this. Look, both the knights could have come on this b7 square. So the knight on b file went on d7. So knight bd7 is how you will write this. Interesting, guys. Because he has moved the piece twice, which is not so great. If I have to, I'm sure later when we go and analyze this, if I am to put this in the engine, it will give some advantage to black. Some. By the way, I hope that most of you were here live with me when I was making my point about our last game. Our opponent simply resigned. So that shows he did not have the patience to play the 15 plus 15 game. Then why choose to play 15 plus 15? You came to play a 15 plus 15 game, right? Then show the required patience. He didn't show the required patience. I am repeating this for the guys who were not with us live. Some of them were still on leeches and now they've joined us here. So our opponent is very patient and I want to do it ourselves. So I also want to play patiently here. We have 14 minutes. I don't want to rush into things. So we are going to take things very slowly here. Very slowly indeed. Why are you guys typing OK? Rudra can watch it on his mobile. What are you talking about? Rudra, you have to watch. You have to watch the YouTube stream. Anyway, so now what is this interesting situation here? How many times is this pawn attacked? 2 times, and defended. Let's show the attack by red. Okay, so I've attacked the pawn 2 times and he's defended that also 2 times, and now there is all the possibility that I'll take here. Then he has to take, otherwise there will be 2 pieces attacking the g4 pawn. Understand this. If I take this, there is no way he can take the knight first, because then the knight will take the g4 pawn. Okay, point 1. Point 2, if I take, he has to take the bishop, and then I can win the pawn. No, not win it, his knight is there. Then maybe take his pawn. Am I not a pawn up? No, because then my knight is still under attack. Interesting situation here. What if I go here and allow him this take? Because one thing is for sure, our opponent is not going to castle long, because the c pawn has already advanced. And now by move like g4, his king will struggle. So let me just go back. I'm okay with that. If he wants to take my bishop, I'll take it with the h pawn and give scope for my rook. Let us one more time analyze the knight take move though. Knight takes, he will take the bishop. And where does my knight go then? So that's why I think dropping the bishop back is a good idea. I don't want it to be exchanged for this knight. That's not what I want. Or do I want that? Let's calculate that. I did not think about it. Knight to e4. Oh, sorry, not knight. Bishop to e4 attacking the rook. That's pretty straightforward. But then f3, I'll have to come back to g6. But then if f3, then this diagonal is even weaker than earlier. So bishop e4, knight takes and knight takes seems to be the right continuation. So let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Anyway, we have g6 to drop back if required. That's interesting. I'm attacking the rook here. If he plays f3, I'm going to drop back to g6. So if he takes, I'm going to take as expected. Well, he did that, and now I'm going to drop back to g6. The point is, if now the knight takes, I can take back with the h pawn and gain scope for my rook. So it is a very interesting situation here. So now clearly, if you see, He wants to lock and shut the bishop out. Not so simple, right? Not so simple. To play this. And then if he takes, I'll take with the G pawn. I'm perfectly okay for that. If I play H6, what happens then? H6 also looks pretty decent. This knight is struggling then. But then I first take. Yes. H6 looks okay. If he pushes, I'm going to take here. He cannot take because the rook is hanging. But one thing is for sure, his king is really in danger here. And I'm happy about one thing, guys. The one thing I'm happy about is that we have played slowly because we were leading on time and I did not want that. So we definitely have used some time here. I'm happy for that. Okay, so now he wants to take the G6. That's a pretty straightforward threat. What can we do to that? I think we can even give that pawn away if we want. Can't we? Yeah, we can. We can. So can we just play Queen E7? Or maybe Bishop here? Or maybe even Queen C7. How does that matter? Queen C7. If he takes, it's a check. And then I'll go this way. Can I do that? Rudra is back. So Rudra realized that Rudra, yes, now you realize you just had to watch the live stream. You did not, you did not require the net connection. How about king to f7, bishop d6, aiming for the g3 check? That can also be done. So many tempting things. Okay, let's do king f7 because we need to save the pawn. I don't think he has much of an attack. I can shelter myself here because his development is not super. Let's face it. It's perfectly okay, I think, what has happened here. I always wanted to... Can we push the pawn here? Not now. Do we lose the pawn? We can definitely lose it and tuck the king here. That should not be an issue. I think bishop d6. Bishop d6, yes. If it takes now, I will hide on g8. But of course, one thing is for sure, this rook will have a tough time coming out. We'll see what we can do here. If we actually, the question is g8 or f8. I'm not so worried about losing the pawn. As I said, his development is not super. His king is super weak. Let's not forget that. The only thing is this rook should have been here so that we could have tucked here g8, then it would have been really good as expected. Now the question is, do we want to switch and come on e7? The only thing is we will not get this diagonal then. Do we go f8? Do we go g8? This is not a check, so I'm not worried about that. somehow I feel e7 is better, because I don't want this rook to be in a very sloppy position. Plus, if I go on these squares, there is always this threat of pawn attack. And then maybe bishop going back, I don't know. So it's better I go here, because this queen can come on this side as well, on the queen side. So queen can develop on her own side. Who knows? So he is a pawn up. Let's see. Interesting situation. I want to give a check. I also want the exchange, but his knight will come out, which I don't want. His knight is nicely jailing the bishop. And then the rook has still not come out. I like all those things. The one move we don't want is queen c7 immediately. We have this check, all right. Otherwise this bishop could be jammed. I appreciate our opponent. We could also push c5 and get the exchange with the rook on c8. Maybe that's also an idea. Look at his pawn structure. Yes, he is a pawn up, but look at his pawn structure. Yo, that is something definitely worth noticing. Can I push the pawn here? Or can I push this pawn here? That would be fantastic. Yes, sir. I can do that. So many good moves. I could play bishop to b4 as well, pinning the knight. Black has definite plans. This pawn is hanging, by the way. Somehow, c5. Yes, I'm going to do c5. If I get the open c file to attack, will be wonderful. Observe how both of us have been using time. I appreciate that, guys. I appreciate that. Both of us have been using time very well. Something that you guys must notice. Samartha, are you noting this? In the tournament, don't be seen playing, blitzkrieg with Kshitij. Use your time. So our opponent is into a deep think. Should he take on d5? Should he allow us to take? And as expected, he pushed the pawn. The question is, do we take now or do we just move the knight? I think moving the knight will be a great idea. We don't want to take. We will push it. The reason I'm saying is, if I take and it takes with the rook, well, if it takes with the rook, the pawn falls, right? That puts pressure on the g7 pawn though. I'm certain about that, which we don't want. Let's calculate. If we take, he takes with the rook, then we take, and then we are eyeing for a check, also check with the rook. So after we take, he has to take with the pawn. Then we can go with our knight on h5. Is that a possibility? Or do we get back? Interesting situation for sure. If we get here, if he takes, we can take with the rook. And if we go here, we have to reroute the knight. Moving the knight and taking the pawn. These are the two moves in contention here, guys. Number one, we move the knight. Number two, we take the pawn. If we take the pawn, If it takes with the rook, then we take the pawn. Moving the knight is better. Let's not allow him anything. I'm going to take with the rook, not with the pawn. I won't give him an open. And by the way, that knight also now protects g7. I'm happy about that. Yes, this is very awkward position for our king as well. I have to confess. It is a very awkward position. For our king. But then that is the point, that he doesn't have the pieces to do anything about it. So if I take here, he wants to come here. So easy. So what if he comes there? Yeah, so what if he comes? I have rook f8. And I am covering all of these squares comfortably. Let's see what he does. There are things that balance here, guys. I want you to notice that. There are things that balance. I don't care about the engine analysis that we'll do later, because I'm sure my king is on e7. There is something that later the engine will tell us. But what is important here is, if my king is not comfortably placed, his development is also not super smooth. Make no mistake about that. So yeah, the question is, who is worse? Who is worse? Yes, so now the attack is on this square d5. There is a checkmate threat. So I've got to stop that first. And I'm not worried about d5. Again, I will say there are definitely a few things I'm not worried about here. I'm going to take on... Can I play knight c7 first? Or maybe even queen c7 if there is a need to hide. Maybe I can play a trick on him. Maybe I'll play knight to f6. But if he takes, it will be a check. I'll still take it. Does he have a safe square for his queen? Goes back. Yeah, I'll lose my knight for nothing. There was a trap I was thinking, because if I am able to give this check right now, the queen is hanging. It's a very important thing to notice, guys. Very important thing to notice. What if I go with this knight first? Yeah, but then the queen can go back. What of the things do I like here? Knight c7, there is this check he has. So the king needs a shelter. To that effect, can I play this? Yeah, I can play that, right? I'll have to make a decision about queen c7. Aiming this check, but the bishop is in front. or do I go for, but if I go here, he has knight c4, so maybe then, okay, so now if he plays this check, I can come back. The good thing is we had the checkmate covered. That's why my decision was to go back to the king's original square rather than hide on g8. We'll find that. Guys, focus on the game. Okay, by the way, at the moment the material balance is +2 for him. Make no mistake about that, +2 for him. Let's see what he does. Again, see the patience level, appreciate our opponent as well. He is also matching us on time, thinking and then executing his plans. That is more important. In the last game, our opponent had no patience. He just gifted us the victory. Amazing. Then why select 15 plus 15? Now here our opponent is also under 5 minutes now almost. Yes. Well, this knight also has no real good squares. Does he? No, I don't think so. This rook is still, as long as that rook is not in the game, guys, our attack is coming first. As long as that rook does not come in the game. For the first time, I think he is down on time. For the first time, is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. So he played the knight maneuver, and so his pawn is hanging. Yeah, he has done that. His pawn is hanging. He did that just to safeguard the check, but the f4 pawn is hanging. So then, what is the plan? Also taking on c5. So there are, let's count. There are 1, 2 and 3 attackers. And there's 1, 2 and 3 defenders. So that area is covered. This is our chance, guys. This is our chance. The knight can perfectly come in and do the damage. The rook coming in, I like that idea. But you have to remember that there is always queen f7, so the rook cannot leave the f file. We should not get carried away. So how about taking here first, thinking about a check as well, who knows? Yeah, I think that makes more sense. I have everything covered in this area, sure. We are down on time now. I think he will also be most probably in 3 minutes. Okay, so Nijapkar is saying for the second time he is down on time. Before there was an occasion before this when he was down on time. Okay, nice observation. I had not noticed this, so that's a good observation. But again, that's why you should appreciate what's happening here on the board. So now again we have this capture. Now we have a bishop b4 check if we want. We have knight to b6 attacking the queen. Suddenly the situation looks okay for us. If we do this, he has a take here, and then the rook can be taken by the queen, something like that. Part of the plan.